Hey y'all, welcome back to Kelly's Kitchen. Tonight we are making a basil pesto caprese grilled cheese sandwich and a homemade lobster bisque. I'm so excited because it's starting to get kind of cooler here in Texas. Not really, but we gonna go with it, right? Okay. So, first thing I'm going to start with is our lobster bisque. So I got a large pot here and I'm going to add in some lobster tails. Ooh, some water from there. All right, so this lobster tails, I bought them frozen from Tom Thumb, and I have thawed them out overnight in the fridge, and I'm just gonna. I have 4 lobster tails, to be exact. So my lobster tails. I'm gonna put all 4 into my big old pot, because we're gonna boil these. And the reason is boiling them is because we're making a lobster stock. So we need to cook the lobster, and also all that goodness is gonna be used to make the actual stock, okay? So I got my lobsters in here. So I'm just gonna cover them with water. So fill with water until they're covered. And then I'm gonna stick them on the stove and bring them to a boil on high and let them boil until the lobsters are done. You'll know they're done whenever the shell turns bright freaking red and it starts to curl up, okay? That means they're done, so that's what we're looking for. All right, y'all, so I have my burner on high. We have our lobster tails covered in water, and I went ahead and covered it with the lid. Just gonna bring this to a boil, and I'll be back to y'all once it's boiling. All right, y'all, so you see my lobster water is boiling up, so I went ahead and took the lid off, and then I checked the lobster tails, and they are already red, see, and curling up. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull these out of the water. And if the lobster tails aren't fully cooked by some chance, that's okay, because we're gonna end up cooking them again to reheat the meats and cook it in some butter before we actually serve it in the soup. We wanted to just go ahead and give them a original cook and get this broth going with that lobster. So I'm just gonna take this out, and then I'm gonna let these cool a second before because we have to peel them to use the shells. I'll let it cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this down a little bit. It's a little feisty. To this water, I'm gonna go ahead and add in some salt to taste. A little bit, probably about a tablespoon or so. And then I'm gonna add in a bay leaf. Actually, I'll probably do 2 bay leaves because they're kind of small. 2 bay leaves. And then, let me grab a spoon. I scrape these edges of this lobster. Lobster, whatever that is. That something. Get that into the... We're going to end up straining this, don't worry. I just want to get that flavor into the water. Definitely smells lobstery. Okay. Alright. Probably bring it back up to a high now that it's calmed down a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to take some of this roasted garlic better than bouillon and throw that in there. Ideally, you want to use, there's a lobster base one that they make. They didn't have it at Walmart. So I'm going to use a knife. They didn't have it at Walmart, so it's probably something I have to order or find elsewhere. But this will work for now, at least to give a nice garlicky flavor. But if you could find the lobster based one, that'll give it more of a lobster flavor. So I'm just going to do a big old spoonful right into there, and I'm just going to stir my spoon around just to get all the goodness off the spoon. Really hanging out there. That's steam's hot, y'all. Okay. All right. Got that off. That smells good. Okay. And now I want to see if my lobster tails are cool enough to handle. Alright, so my lobsters are cool enough now to actually handle. So I'm just going to take some kitchen shears. I'm going to go ahead and cut, cut off the shell. Because now we want to go ahead and peel the lobster out. It's okay if the lobster breaks because we're going to end up cutting it into chunks anyway. But what we're doing now is we just want to go ahead and get all the lobster out of the shell and get that shell into the boiling stock. See, so I'm just pulling that out, just throwing that in there. Okay, because we're going to make our own lobster stock here for this wonderful homemade lobster bisque. So it's okay if it's in pieces. Again, we're going to end up straining it. So we're just going to do this. Ooh. It is a little hot, so y'all be careful because it is hot. But I'm just peeling it off. Throwing it in. Ooh, here's another one. I'm just trying to show y'all one real quick before I turn it off. But ha 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 ha. Ooh, flinging juice. So exciting. Okay. Really hot, y'all. Okay. Ooh. And then this tail bit tends to have meat hiding in there. So I do want to take that meat out because I want that for the actual lobster part. I don't want to drain that part. So I'm just going to go ahead and get that out of there. To make sure we get that bit of lobster in the soup. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to take this tail and throw it right in. And then we'll have like a whole tail here. Put that to the side because we'll end up chopping that up. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the last 3 tails and get those shells into the broth. Alright, y'all. So we have the lobster all peeled and all the tails into the water. So now we're just going to stir that together. And then we want to let this boil kind of as long as we can to really get the flavor to set in to the stock. So we're going to do at least 30 minutes. But yeah, so anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes is ideal. So I'm just going to cover this up and let that boil, and I'll be back once it is done. Oh, and the lobster, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it into chunks and put it into a bowl and put it in the fridge until we're ready for it. And we do want large chunks like this because this is going to be the star of the show, right? So I'm actually using a baggie. I was going to use a bowl, but I decided to use a baggie instead so that I can just throw it away and not have to wash another bowl. So I'm just sticking all that in a little baggie along with all the little pieces that came apart out of the shells while I was taking the shell apart. See, we got a good bit of lobster. So I'm just going to put that in the fridge. Alright, y'all, now while our lobster stock is hanging out on the stove in the background, getting nice and delicious, we're going to go ahead and prep our vegetables that's going to go into the lobster bisque. So we're going to dice up 1 yellow onion, 3 ribs of celery, and I'm going to peel and chop up 6 carrots. So I'll be back in a moment with that magic. Alright, y'all, I got my celery, onion, and carrots all chopped up. They don't have to be super, super small. I'm using the immersion blender again, like I did last night on this soup, because you want it creamy. Again, if you don't have immersion blender, you're more than welcome to use a regular blender and just put it back in the pot. So I'm just going to set this aside until I wait for the stock to finish. And I also have some fresh thyme here that is also going to end up going into the soup. Alright, y'all, while our stock finishes up, it's almost done. I'm going to go ahead and prepare our basil pesto for the grilled cheese sandwiches. So I have 3 of these basil containers of basil in here. And then to this, I'm going to add in this back so you can see it better. I'm going to add in some pine nuts. I do about half this bag. Ooh. Find out on the run. Yeah. About half the bag in there. And then we're going to add in some Parmesan cheese. I'm going to do the rest of this bag, which is probably going to be about a 1/3 cup of Parmesan. And we're going to season to taste with some salt. Ooh. And some ground black pepper. About 1 or 2 teaspoons of each. Again, as your heart desires. And then I'm going to start pouring in some olive oil. I'm going to start with a couple tablespoons first. About 3 swirls around. And I'm going to go ahead and blend it. And then add more as needed to my desired consistency. Alright, definitely needs more olive oil. I'm just going to take a little silicone spatula here and scrape down my sides. And then we're going to add some more olive oil. 1, 2, 3. Good measurement technique. Alright. This back on. I'm going to blend it again off camera so you don't have to hear all the noise. Alright, now that this is looking nice and pretty, we're going to add in some minced garlic. Okay, we're just going to do a good big heaping spoonful right in there. I'll probably add a wee bit more. Can't have too much garlic. Alright. And then we're just going to blend this up one more time. Alright, look how beautiful that pesto is. I already gave it a little taste. Tastes fantastic. Now we're just gonna take blade out and just shake it off. And use my little and get all that goodness back into the container. Alright. And now I'm just gonna go ahead and get this into a bowl so it's out of the way. But look how beautiful that is. It smells amazing. I love me some basil pesto. So you can always buy jarred if you prefer, but homemade is just way better. Try it. Alright, y'all. So the lobster stock was done. I went ahead and strained it into this glass measuring cup. It comes out to almost 2 cups, I think. Yeah, about 1 2/3 cup of stock, which is great because it's just the 2 of us. I already know it's going to make a lot, but that's okay. So yes, have that here already strained, ready to go. I went ahead and kind of rinsed out my pot a little bit to get any extra shells and bits out of there. And now I have on medium heat 1 stick of butter melting. And I'm going to take it over there so that we can start this lobster bisque. Okay, y'all, my butter is nice and melted. So I'm going to go ahead and add in all my vegetables here to this melted butter. And we're just going to let this saute a little bit to get nice and soft. And I also went and pulled out a bottle of dry white wine. I'm using Chardonnay. This is a little bottle. This Chardonnay, you can use Chardonnay, Pinot Grigio, Sauvignon Blanc, whatever dry white wine you want. This is going to end up going in there. I'm just getting this softened first before we add in our broth and our wine. Alright, now that our vegetables are starting to soften up a little bit here, we're going to go ahead and add in about 2 tablespoons of white flour. And just make a mess with it because that's what we do up in here. Alright, just, y'all didn't see that. It was a figure of your imagination. Ooh, okay. Anyways. I know I'm a little weird. It's okay. Alright, so stir that in there. Let that flour absorb up that butter. Alright, and now we're going to add right to this. We're going to start with our white wine. Add the whole little bottle in. These little bottles, just so y'all know, I don't drink white wine, or dry white wine. So I just bought at QT. You can buy these little bottles individually. You can just take it out of the 4-packs from at the gas station, and you can buy just the individual bottle. And no problem at all. So just a little tidbit. All right. Got that in there, and then I'm going to go ahead and turn this up to a high to bring it to a boil. I'm going to go ahead and now add in our lobster stock. And not make a mess like I did, because that's what I do in my kitchen. Okay. Alright, got that in there. Just stir that up. And grab a little napkin to stop all that sizzling noises over here. Okay. Alright. Got that in there. And now we're going to add to this a couple sprigs of fresh thyme. Yeah, this stuff here. Okay, and then we're also going. I was going to go ahead and add to that a 6-ounce can of tomato paste. And yes, you want the whole can. If you wanted less tomato-y, you could do like half the can, but I'm just going to go ahead and do the whole can right in there. I'm just kind of stir that around so it gets kind of melted or dissolves into the wine and broth mixture. Okay. This is looking and smelling amazing, y'all, by the way. I'll bring you closer here in a second. Okay. Get that all mixed in there. Alright, now we're going to add some cream. So I have some heavy whipping cream here. And I'm going to add the rest of this container. I'm going to add more. I just wanted to finish off that container. Okay, I have another container here, so I'm just going to... total amount of cream, really it's how much you want. We're going to go with probably about 2 cups worth. Sounds good to me. Smells good. It smells like lobster bisque already, y'all. I do love me some lobster bisque. Alright. Stir it together. Alright, and so now we are just going to let this all start boiling. We're going to add in some ground pepper there. Let's season it up a little bit. Add some ground black pepper. And I want a little spice. I'm going to add in a little Slap Your Mama seasoning. All to taste, of course. So the ancestors say it's good. I'm going to hold off on any additional salt until this all kind of cooks together to see if I need it. taste this right quick. Oh, it's a fork, not a spoon. Silly me. Okay. It's feisty. Let me turn it down a little bit. To about medium heat. Okay. Let's give her a taste, y'all. Mmm. So good. Definitely does not need any more salt. That better than bouillon base is pretty salty. Plus I salted the lobster stock, and then Slappy Mama has some spice in it. So, or salt. That's salt. Sorry, y'all. Dirty brain. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna let this just simmer together. I'm going to go ahead and turn it down to more of a simmer since it's boiling. Just going to turn down to low. And then we're going to let it simmer for about 20 minutes. Alright, y'all, the soup has about 9 more minutes left before I puree it. So over here, I do have a large skillet with about a tablespoon of butter in it. And I'm going to go ahead and turn that on to medium heat. And I'm just going to let that melt. And then I'm just going to saute up this lobster chunks from earlier. Saute that up, get it nice and hot and little buttery and crusty and wonderful, just all the good stuff. Yes. So I'm going to do that with it, and then once this is done in 8.5 minutes, then I'm going to use my hand immersion blender and go ahead and blend all this up, and then we will start working on the grilled cheeses here in a second. Alright, so while that butter melts, let's go ahead and prep our tomato. So, I have this gorgeous heirloom tomato. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this. I wanted a really pretty tomato for this grilled cheese. So, I already have washed it, so now I'm just going to take my knife. I'm just going to cut the top off. Ooh, it really goes deep in there, so let me cut that stem out because we don't want all that in our grilled cheese because gross. Okay, so that off. All right, so now I'm just gonna continue slicing this kind of thin. Oop, take that. There you go. Look how beautiful that is. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So let me finish slicing the rest of this up. All right, I got my tomato all sliced here. It is so beautiful. Oh, I'm so excited for this. Then I have some fresh mozzarella. It's already pre-sliced, just to make my life easier, but you can buy a ball and slice it yourself, whichever way. But I did want to use fresh mozzarella for this. And then bread-wise, I'm using this Farmhouse Pepperidge Farm butter bread. And literally just gonna build the grilled cheese. I'm gonna go ahead and cook it in the same skillet that the lobster is cooking in right now, just to add the additional flavor, right? So, just gonna take 2 slices for each of us because we each have a sandwich. All right, and then I'm just gonna put like butter into the pan. Since I'm putting pesto on the inside, I don't have to butter one side, pesto one side, and cause a big mess, right? So literally, we're just gonna build this. So I'm just gonna take some of that basil pesto that we made, give it a good little stir from that oil kind of setting in there, and then we're just gonna spread a good bit onto our bread. Oh, look how beautiful that is. I'm so excited. Okay. Oops, making a mess. All right. Let's spread it on there. And then we're going to go ahead and add to this. Let's go ahead and do some tomato, right? So really only need, honestly, 1 slice because it's so big. Just 1 slice, okay? And then we're gonna do some of this mozzarella here. Take a few slices because I want to make sure this is covered, right? So I think I can do 4 slices of mozzarella on each. There we go. Yeah. Kind of overlap it a little bit. It won't be a big deal. Okay. And then I am gonna set this aside. And then on the other slice of bread, I'm going to go ahead and put the pesto on there too, because I want it on both sides, right?
reduce bipolar depression symptoms.
Okay, so we're just gonna
Clinical studies had no substantial impact on weight.
get all that
This
right on there.
Latuda is not for everyone. Call your doctor about
Like that.
eventual mood changes.
And I have it over here, I'll show you.
Antidepressants can improve sleeps in children, teens, and young adults. Elderly dementia patients.
So here we have
Increased risk of death
our
from
caprese
stroke,
sandwich, and then I'll just end up grilled cheesing it up in a skillet, just cook it to golden brown on both sides, cheese is melted. So I will be back once everything is done, because y'all got the gist of it. Cooking the lobster. The lobster is just going to go in the bottom of the bowl, and then I'm going to put the pureed bisque on top, and then a little bit more lobster on top of that. So the lobster is not going to actually be in the soup, it's just like eating chunks of it, right? Okay, just so you'll get an idea. So I'll be back once everything is ready. Hey y'all, and here we have our lobster bisque with our caprese, or basil pesto caprese grilled cheese sandwich. Enjoy!